Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Ahmad Lamayar. On this video we're gonna create a custom log. So we're gonna create a class. First we're gonna use the IntelliJ. Once we create the code, then we're gonna move it on. We will paste and copy and use it to the IBM Java compute node. Once we complete the log on a Java, then we're gonna use the compute. And still I have a few videos about log. You could watch that. We could use the whatever Java classes that we create, Java procedure function from the compute node. So let's start it how we do it. Let's create a class on an IntelliJ, then we will copy and paste it there. So it's simple, because the reason I want to create it right here, because you want to see the result right away. And even better, class name must start let's say custom log, name it. Class name must start with the uppercase. So we will pick the class, Java class, and enter it. So this is the class name. We name it custom class. Let's do have a few fields, few variable, few like I always say, the good practice whenever you're using a class, you must use the private. There's a good practicing. Otherwise, why should we use a different classes? So the reason, the most of time we're using we must declare as a private is a good practicing. So we want to create a string, a variable, and call them a default file. In case there is a no file provided by the user, we will use that one, but usually there is a default file on the logging. So let's give a default file, and you could name it default file. You could name it exception log or something, like let's say exception dot log. I want to name it like that. And let's copy and paste. We're gonna use copy paste, so make it quicker. And the second I wanna name it, the second file I wanna name it, you could name it anything, like let's say key file, something, key file, and I will say application. You could name it anything. Log file, in case there is a no default log file, so we could use a file. Let's use it like that. And the reason we wanna because we wanna use the skeleton instance, we wanna make that one as a skeleton. So if you wanna make your skeleton instance, you could use it like let's do the same thing. Copy paste, because we're gonna, just because there's no string, we will say custom, and also I would say instance something, and instance. I think the spelling is fine, instance. So because we need to pass it custom log. So what I want to make my constructor private. So the only way we access the constructor through the variable we declare it, and that way is only you could create only one instance. You cannot create many instances because we're using a skeleton. You could learn more about skeleton method. And also I want to use two packages right here, because when you I want to use the java.io. One is I think printer, printer writer, and the second I want to use file writer, I believe. Okay, this second is a file writer. Let's copy that one. So I could put the only a multiply sign, and I don't need to do it that way because I want to show you like exactly what we're using right here. File writer. So both is coming, and also I want to use date. let's, and that would become from my utility classes dot, I did something, yeah, 3 classes I want to use. Print writer to like save data to a file if you want to print data to a file, file writer, and data. So right now, because I want to use a print writer, I want to create a variable to this name, print, what happened, private, I will say, you could say save data or something. Let's say name it save data, that way you will know save data into file. And that would be my variable type, would be my print writer. So it is a print writer, save data into a file. So whenever I want to use that, like I'm saving a data to a file. So let's create a constructor, because we already have an instance. I want to make it private. So when I create a constructor, when usually like the regular way is this way, a constructor, like if you get, I'm sure you're already familiar with this way to create constructor. What we do right now, because I'm using a skeleton, I want to make it private. That way nobody access it. If you want to access it, they could access it through this instance or get instance. And this is also private, you cannot access that one. The only way to access it, you will need to use a get instance of this one, then you will have access to that one. So what I want to do on a private, this one I want to just like assign the file name to it. File name equal to, let's use the system property, so that way I get file from the system property, which has system.get property. You could use that one. So that way you see this is my property, I could access that one from it. And let's assign 2 variable, this one plus I want to use key file to it, boot file. I sign it right here, like on my private constructor. What I did, I don't have any variable in it, but I just sign a file name to right here. So that's it. This is my constructor, this is my property. What I need right now, I wanna, like, because I make this one private, I wanna create a getter method for the get log, to return the instance. So how you want to do that? Let's say public, you could name it anything, static. You must use the static word. You see all of them almost static on a custom. And right here also, even on my instance, I'm using a static keyword. I will say custom log. I want to return it because the return time is custom log. So that's why I want to, so let's return it before the, I will say instance. So you see, look, there is some crying and we need to fix that. And I mean exception, I'm sorry why I say this one, because we didn't name anything this one. Say get instance. And one more thing, we because we signed a file, let's use, because the reason we're using a try catch block, let's say we just sign like save data equal to, let's say we want to assign data to a new printer, let's say new to a instance new printer, because we want to assign a data to that, and we want to use the new, why I'm just file writer and the file name, let's say we pass. This will give an exception. If you watch my first video, I told you why it's giving exception, in case there is a file does not exist. So what to do? So on that case, we need to surround it with a try and catch. So that way, if there is a no, then they're gonna give you the exception, but I don't need this type of exception. You could print the prints. Let me delete that one. I don't want to throw exception, I want to just print it. Print stock trace, that's all I want to do. Like in case there's a no file to print, to save data to it, so we just try it. We will try that one. If they give an exception, then we will print the exception right here. We could log that one even if you want. It's up to us totally. So right now we have a constructor. We just assign a file, whatever file we have right here. You could directly assign a one file right here. We're using property right here. Your system.get property. If there's one no file, they override it with another file. You pass it to our new file writer. If there's a no file write, like we try to save data, if there's no file writer, we just print the exception. And we have a get method just to return the instance. You see, custom log get instance. Like whoever's wanna access my instance, they cannot create it because it's skeleton. They need to get it through the my get method, getter method. Because this is if you're familiar with the Java code, getter and setter for the encapsulation, I believe, for better security. Let's create the log method. So public, you could create let's make it private. Wide. You could name it different. I want to name it log, and just whatever data come, I will pass it as a string. I will say message, and what we do right now, I say save data. We just have a variable, if you remember, save data into file dot print line. What does do? This save data, whatever data come to the print writer, because we're using a print writer. I say the message whatever come, and we flash it right away, like because let's flash it up. Save data dot flash. What this does, like right away, immediately save the data to a stream. So we will call that one each time. So private, okay, we will call the log. Anytime we call the log, we'll save data on right away, because we flash out right away. This immediately we flash it. So let's call each time whenever we need this method. And let's create log the message. We could call that one public void log. I say message. Let's say log the message. We don't want to return anything, just save data. Whenever we call them, we want to save data. And this one, now we could call our method, this method that we created. Say log, and what we need to pass, because we have a, if you remember, we have a data time class. Let's add the date time with it. Plus we want to concatenate it with whatever message you want. The message as is coming. Let's pass the data, like whatever message come, whatever data come, we wanna use the concatenation. So you could say error detail something. Error detail is up to you, and make a space. Date time we will add it anytime, plus we just add extra information, and like whatever message we pass through to log, and would be save it to our file. So let's also create another class that let's create it, and that will throw like that would be a throwable method that save our data as well. Like whatever log is it will be save log. I will say log what to name it, log throwable, no, log error, let's say name it log error, and this time the type is throwable, and I will say cause. You could, or error, let's say error, name it error. And same thing, we will call the log method. You see right here, whenever we call them, they save it right away to a file. So again, like we wanna, you could save, it is up to you how much data you wanna save. I said I wanna save data, plus I wanna concatenate, like whatever information you wanna concatenate. I wanna concatenate hero dot get class I will say get class something, yeah, get, okay, right here, get class dot get name, because like get, I believe, yes, get name. I want to save that data, this information coming from a system, that's why you could also call system and get the, let's say for example a line separator. You want to, let's say I want to concatenate, you call the system dot you say get property, let's say get property. I'm gonna get the line separator, line separator, line dot the spelling separator, I believe it's separator if I'm not doing mistake. Plus I wanna add the arrow, whatever arrow is coming, no this one, the arrow we pass it. So that would be our log arrow log method. So we, and is because we're using a print writer method, it is better to close it. If you want to create a method, you could do, let's create a method, call them close anyways, public, you could void and call them close, just to close our print method. And save data dot, so we have a print, let's say, no, let's use the if condition, if is not empty, in case, because always is null point, we need to check. Save data, let's say not equal to null, then we close it. Save data, you could call them right away close, and this will close it up. So this is a good practicing. Let's clean up our code and just go to code and say where's the reformat the code, so that way they just right now a little bit looking nice. Let's make it smaller, the extra space. So we just clean it up. We creating we have a property to file. If one file is not exist, we override it with a second file. We just assign an instance to a variable, because we make our constructor private to create a skeleton method. So that means like we only allowed to create one instance. We cannot create instance right now the way we creating used to. We need to call this one and get it from right here, whatever method we need. Then we create an instance to return the method, and because this tree was for the skeleton. After that, we creating a log file to call them each time and print the data, save the data to, and flush it out right away, like immediately to save it to a stream. That's why flush work like that. You could Google and learn more about flush. Public while log, then we could call them log message, pass through the message, and we just concatenate it with the current data stamp with a message on extra detail. And this is a log arrow. We just concatenate it with the name of the class plus the property line separator, and then we close it up. All we did that. This is the custom log. You could also get this code from my GitHub. I will put this one on a GitHub. So let's create another class, how to use it on somewhere. If you want to use your class, let's create a math class, and with double H in case it's not creating me a problem. And I want a public, if you give me a main method, public static. Let me create a main method. Okay, we have main method. If you want to use it, let's use it. So if you want to use your custom log now, let's sign it to a variable first time, and we're using a static because we don't want to create an instance. Let's sign it to variable and name it static. Let's say my log. And if you remember, that was a custom log dot, must give me the option private custom log. The reason it's not giving me the option because had to be the variable tab get instance. This way we getting the instance. Once we get the instance and sign it to our local variable and a variable, now we could use it. For example, let's just use it directly, my log, not to mix it. See, you could use whatever method that was there, log arrow or log message. You see, throwable arrow and a string message. I want to use my, let's use the save some data into file. I will say same data into file. If I run it, you see, save data into file. Okay, you see, save some data into file, they just log it for me. Like, we don't need to another API. So let's copy the one, same thing we do. You see the class, if you want to copy the class name too, it is fine. Otherwise, let's create the same method and have all the method inside on our Java classes. We could do right here. Let's add it to what I say log class, log. Let's use it right here. And we don't need this one. If you do not need it, let's delete it. And yes, I don't need it. Let's delete that one. Why is crying? Because this is abstract, we just extend that one even we don't want to extend it. Okay, since we do not need it, all we do that copy that much data that we wrote it and to our class. If you want to names, and the reason is crying because this class is different than this class, we need to reassign it. And import IO exception. Okay, let's rename it anywhere that is class. Okay, and there's a 3 classes we need. Okay, you see, print writer, filler exception, and all that is imported, which is perfect. And this one is not use it, we do not use that one, so let's remove it. We don't. Now we have a custom log classes, so we will use this Java classes from our computer. So see on the next video how should we use it through right here. So that is better to add it to a next video.